no video, Paul. Have we forgotten something? What do we do now?
We're so slick. So we're...
But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, Faithful? Welcome back to the 49er Faithful UK Live. Just like Kyle and John, we're not without our problems. See what happens when we take a couple of weeks off. But chaps, training camp has finally arrived. The long off season is over. The players are back on the field. From the fresh faces, returning stars, and the battles that will shape the 53-man roster over the next coming weeks. And just like that, flawless as ever, Lee, we are back. Now, I'm Paul Hope. I'm joined today by Lee Gowland, Gareth Ellis. Unfortunately, Neil Graham was unable to join us. A few technical issues, but we will get those ironed out. We are ready, as always, to give our views, our deep dive into the 49ers. So grab that red and gold, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And flawless, as I said at the start, Lee, welcome back.
Well, thank you, Paul. I don't know whether or not to burst your bubble there and just explain to you that even though we didn't play the intro, we still went live.
I saw. So
Which was the shock.
StreamYard has had an update. I pressed the usual button, and after that 30-second countdown, it usually takes you to the video. I did want to say, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. Whether you're joining us from the UK, the United States, or from wherever it is around the world, it's always good to have you. And Gareth, it's been a while, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I've been enjoying a little bit of the off season. It's been nice to step away from things, and then you suddenly think, "Hey, it's training camp," and I'm beginning to get excited. It's a yearly ritual now. About this time, you suddenly start thinking, "Well, actually, next month's August, and there's games, friendlies, admittedly, pre-season in August, but then the it's not looking far away on the calendar when I scroll through my work calendar for availability, and there it is, 7th. Seahawks on Sunday night. So, wow.
Well, as always, it feels pretty good to be back. I was going to ask Lee whether he was nice and refreshed and if he'd missed me after his break. But what did you say off air, Mr. Gowland? Go on, tell the people what you said.
I was very disappointed with the answer because I was going to say, no, I haven't missed you at all. It's been a lovely break.
Well, but
of course I have, mate. I've missed this whole thing. You know how we bounce off each other. It's been a long time coming. And to be honest, I was a bit stuffed for what to talk about tonight. Obviously, the training camp's only just started. It's been quite a quiet off season, so I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm honest. I don't know where we're going tonight.
Before the storm, yeah, well.
Well, for once, we've had no quarterback controversy. I mean, we talked about it when we last recorded, which seems a while ago, the $265 million man, that is Brock Purdy. I was going to say we've had no wide receiver drama. That wouldn't technically be true. Now, in true 49er Faithful UK fashion, the players have just finished. Kyle has just finished up on his press conference. And what will happen when we press end record, I'm sure JJ's record-breaking contract extension will be announced. Because that's how we roll, isn't it, Lee? That is how we roll.
That is definitely how we roll. And did you see the projected figures? I think it was Eric Branch sent out. 3-year deal, $47.5 million.
Yeah,
so
I'd seen
47.
47.5 million.
15 a year, just over.
Yeah.
I'd seen some analysts say the Bateman deal is one we should be looking at. And I've seen a few people saying that because of the void Jennings has got next year, which I think is 8.5 million, regardless of what we do. A few people want to see the contract incentives that he's got just turned into guarantees. Not maybe give him more years, but maybe just throw a bit of money. Now, Rob Stats Guerrera and Jason Aponte from the Gold Standard Network did a show last night, and they were both very against Lee paying JJ wide receiver 1 money. They were saying he's wide receiver 3. He didn't reach the 1,000 yards. He's good in this system. Now, I did think it was a good talking point because he said at the start, what are we going to talk about? Now, obviously, Shanahan's press conference, once you updated the sound, because for 20 minutes last night, we might have had technical problems off air, but the 49ers, happens to the best of them, did a full press conference, Lee, where nobody could hear what was being said. So at least we did ours off air, for want of a better word. But Shanahan talked about the need of wanting 12 receivers at camp. And obviously, you've got Ayuk injured. You've got Purcell, not sure. This was yesterday. I'm talking about people. I know he's been out there. So he's saying we're down to 10. And that's why we signed that brand new receiver, Dave St. Brown. I think his name's called, isn't it, everybody? Good big Dave.
Give it a pull. Give it a go, Paul. You know you can do it.
I'll try to practice, but I know I'm going to butcher it. So can anybody else help me out, people? Because isn't it Equanimeous St. Brown?
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I broke the internet. There's your sound bite.
You got it, mate. You got it. Been practicing.
So, do you think he's anything other than a camp body? Because I just think they've brought him in. Listening to Carl yesterday, he just basically admitted he's a camp body. Yes, it's a 1-year deal, but there was no details of the money. What do you both reckon?
I don't actually think he is a camp body. I think they want to take a legitimate look at him, see if he offers anything. I think they'll do that. You do get players that do come in that are camp bodies. They're just there to help get through practice. But I have a feeling that they actually want to take a serious look at St. Brown. Because he's a decent player. I remember watching him against Stanford, I think back in 2017. He played in that game. It's a real shame that Neil did have those technical difficulties because he was sat right next to us as we watched this game together, because there was quite a few well-known players in that game at the time. Mike McGlinchey was playing in it. St. Brown was playing in that game. 2017, who else will have been? Deshaun Kaiser, who didn't really have much of a career, to be honest. I can't remember what you call the other lineman from Notre Dame, but he was a good player. He still is a good player. And his name, Quentin Nelson. That's it. Yeah. And he was in that game as well. But St. Brown actually stood out in that game, to be honest. He had a really good game that night. Stanford still won, but he had a good game.
I mean, yeah, go on, Gareth. Sorry.
There's space in that receiver room. There's some positions to be won. Maybe temporarily when Ayuk comes back. Maybe again, Purcell might be a bit slow in this. You've got to practice well. You've got to have guys who are going to put the shifts in. And I think you're right. I think we clearly do sign people for camp, but I think it's a bit of a waste if you're signing a guy entirely for that purpose. I think a lot of these guys, that they've got to be considered that there's a chance even outside of them potentially making the roster if they can excel. And it's these guys that you're looking for the roster, but also maybe for the practice squad, or maybe guys to have in the building if you get a bit thin at some point in the season. These are the kind of guys they already know a bit of the playbook. You know if they're going to behave in a professional manner, and there's chances for these guys at wide receiver. It's way open.
Well, whilst we're talking wide receiver, Mr. Hughes has chipped in there that John and Kyle are on the rostrum, and they've said they're waiting for us. But this was kind of bad news. The wide receiver room is already depleted. I mean, I've got the list of receivers here. As I said yesterday, Shanahan talked about the need of having 12 at practice. We're already in day one, and another one has gone down. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, the strength and conditioning coaches. I mean, hamstring for a receiver. We're all worried about Purcell, but I think Cowan was a lot of people who were expecting big things from this year.
I was hoping he'd step up. So
yeah, I think we can talk about the strength and conditioning coaches all we want, because we've talked about it for the last 8-9 years, ever since Kyle and John came in. And I think we went through a good 6 years on the belt where we got rid of the strength and conditioning coaches and brought in a brand new team, and nothing has really improved. I think what we need to do as a fan base is accept the fact that players do get injured. And I think it's down to the individual players, how they prepare their bodies to start the season, to start training camp. I think there's a lot more to do with education for them, about how to prepare. I think that's what it needs to be, rather than the strength and conditioning coaches actually going through what you need to do once you get to camp. It should be an off-season thing and an out-of-camp thing. But as you know, because of the collective bargaining agreement, they're not supposed to be in touch with the players until a certain date.
Yeah, well,
you can't do any official, unofficial practices.
What's happening
Either
there?
Paul's gone really shy, or we're having a really bad technical night.
no idea,
So we can
chaps.
hear him. Yeah, we can hear you, but you've gone black.
Your camera has you've broken the camera.
Yeah. Have you had a blackout? I mean, I'm not saying it's not an improvement. We can still hear you.
Now, chaps.
Voice for radio.
Tell you what.
Hey, he's back.
What happens when you stretch your legs and you knock the wire out? I mean, to be fair, me and Lee did have a little bit of a tester session the other day, and my camera wasn't fully working. But I think,
Well, you know what, Paul? So I might tease something now, because we've got 19 views on at the moment. So towards the back end of the show, I will let you into a little secret of the conversation me and Paul had with the 49er organisation.
so what I was going to say before Lee teased his announcement,
Ooh.
I think the reason we're all excited is this camp. It marks a turning point from the disastrous season last year. I think we all took some time away. You've talked about there. Kyle and John touched upon Ayuk and his rehab, and they were saying they haven't really had much chance to see him because you've pointed out there, due to the bargaining agreement, not really allowed. I think we've all seen the positive vibes, which was a word that was thrown around last year, the culture that everybody was at OTAs. And I think what's exciting from the press conference I took yesterday is Kyle Shanahan seems ready to take a punt, pardon the pun, on the rookies. Now, he did say he's going to have to give them serious reps, and he doesn't just mean at training camp, Lee. He means in games. He knows that means the rough is going to come with a smooth. He's getting all excited. And then Grant Cohen, of all people, asked him a question about what did that mean? Are you going to start the rookies regardless? Does that mean if you're losing games? And then he backtracked and said, well, no, if we're losing games, I'm going to put the veterans back in. So I kind of like, because what we're interested in is we've took quite a lot of rookies this year. We've got a young 49ers team. I think we've got, possibly 6 to 8 starters on the defensive side of the ball, which are going to be rookies. And I think we're all excited to see whether the veterans can kind of lead these rookies into battle. Fred Warner talked about the new coaching staff, but said the system is staying the same. So he's saying for 8 years, he's played the same scheme. Now, I'm glad Salah's back, Gareth, but I was a little bit nervous when I thought it's the same scheme. There's going to be no tweaks, or am I just reading too much into that on day one of training camp?
It's fundamentally the same approach, isn't it? I think it's what we need to see is the improvement, and we know that Salah can do, which is calling the right modifications or the right adjustments or blitzing at the right time and the right coverage when you need to in the game, which was something we struggled with last year and were getting caught out and was seemed unable to apply the pressure at the right points that we needed to, particularly I think on first down and probably on third down. So I think it's not the overall scheme. I think we've built a team. We've got players for that. There's a philosophy. They're going to stick to it because they think that that's the best defensive approach for the guys we've got and the way we want to play. It's going to be calling that during the games, which is where I want to see Salah. And I like aggressive on the defense. I'll happily give up some points in a game for more sacks, more interceptions, because I think they can turn a game on its head, and sometimes you need that.
The reason I went down that rabbit hole, because we're back, we like a good rabbit hole. When I was traveling home tonight and I was trying to do some research and some homework, there was a lot of talk about Salah had more to do with this draft class than Shanahan. And as maybe Salah come back and said, I'll come back as defensive coordinator, but I'm running that defense. Kyle, you go run the offense. And if you think your mind back to when Salah was a coordinator last time, we had that infamous training practice where was it Jimmy G threw 5 interceptions and the whole world was melting down. But apparently people are saying that maybe that's what Shanahan needs in practice. He needs to be going up against Salah. He needs that kind of iron sharpens iron. But on game day, Lee, this is something you've talked a lot about. Shanahan can concentrate on the offense. He doesn't have to worry about the defense. So as much as the system might stay the same, got to be excited by that thought that Shanahan's going to be back to kind of just working his magic and just leave the defense to Salah.
Well, if you recall, Paul, we now have an offensive coordinator. So hopefully Shanahan just sticks to being a head coach.
Which he should do. It's
Yeah,
his job.
which would be
being
ideal if he did
the
that.
head coach. Yeah.
And going back to your point about Salah had a lot to do with the draft, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's correct. I think John Lynch had everything to do with the draft. Where in previous years, I think Kyle had a big say in who was drafted, and John's hand was forced a little. Which is why I'm thinking another thing you said there about Kyle's going to be willing to let the rookies have a chance this year. I don't think he's changed his stance. I think he's been told, we've drafted these rookies. We've drafted them for a reason. Make sure you play them. You need to play players on merit rather than just the guys you like. Because I think Kyle does that quite often. He plays the guys he likes. He has a relationship with. So
Yeah,
I think, like I said in the off-season, I think the dynamics changed. And they even said it. They came out and said, we're not going to be the same team as we were before. We're not going to be given overinflated contracts out because it kills the cap space. And I think there's been a good talk, a good sit down. They've discussed it. And basically John Lynch has been given the reins to do his job properly for the first time in 8 years. That's what I believe.
I mean, to be honest with you, what I did pick up from the press conference yesterday was Kyle looked refreshed. He looked healthy. Fred Warner himself talked about the fact that, it wasn't ideal that we didn't make the playoffs, but maybe we needed that to reset. Now, Richard's got a question for you, Lee, following on from that.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer that because you've just obviously articulated that better than I could. So will Kyle actually let Kubiak have autonomy, or is it purely for sure?
No and no. So it's not purely for sure, but he's also not going to have autonomy. What I expect to happen is Kyle will create the playbook, all the players that he wants, and he will have the confidence that Kubiak can execute those players as and when needed. And every now and again, Kyle might step in and say, look, let's go for this player X instead of player Y. I think that's what will happen. But I think Kubiak will have a lot to do with the play calling.
I mean,
I don't think he'll be autonomous.
He did also say, chaps, that he's quite excited because since the first time, since 2018, he believes that this is the most competitive battle for a spot on the 53-man roster. Now, again, is that just day one talk from your head coach firing everyone up? Or is it something that you both genuinely believe after the draft and the undrafted free agents? We've had a lot of turnover, a lot of talk about the people we've lost, the youngsters we've brought in. What do you make of Kyle's comments there that this is the most competitive battle for a spot on this roster? I'll go with you first, Gareth. Put you on the spot.
I would like to disagree with Kyle. I think there's a lot of spots to be open to be won, and we've got, it's not just rookies, but we've got year two players as well. We've got some of the guys on the defensive line as well are year two players. Some have been there for a while, but never really been able to. They've always been further down the pecking order. There is a chance for some of those guys like Kevin Givens to say, you've been here, 5-6 years now? You should be winning this. You really should. You should be knocking these rookies back down the pecking order. And there's competitiveness and challenge, I think, across the board. I think there's probably two spaces on the offensive line. There's the defensive tackles. There's who's going to get the jobs at defensive end other than Bosa. In terms of who's going to be first down, who's maybe going to be a situational pass rusher. I think other than Demo, there's some shuffling that could be done in the secondary. There's a chance for people to win a starting job, I think, there. And wide receiver, we could be seeing, who knows, starting at week one. The way things are going, it's not going to be Ayuk. I mean, I'm hoping it's JJ and Purcell, but who knows? Who knows?
Do we see George Kittle in the passing game early on, Gareth, before Lee weighs in? Who knows?
I think so. We spent $20 million signing another tight end. You've got to assume that Kyle is thinking he needs to be able to get the ball in Kittle's hands more and not rely on him so much to make the plays for other people. make those things work. We've still got Juszczyk. Obviously, he lines up all over the place as well, and is kind of like a tight end. I think in what he does is his versatility and blocking. So there's opportunities, and I wouldn't disagree with what Lee said, but I'm hoping that someone like Kubiak might come in and look at things a little bit differently. I think the playbook will be Kyle's, but I think you would hope Kubiak's got some input into it. I think obviously they're going to do the install for the week and script probably, what is it, the first 15, 20 plays. You assume, again, that's going to be by committee. I hope Kubiak's going to get a little bit of chance to show that he can do it, because we know that Shanahan's not been able to get into his rhythm sometimes. But I think that no offensive coordinator has got total autonomy. I think there's always going to be the head coach there, particularly on those key third down decisions, things like that. You're always going to have to run things past the head coach, because he's the one who's got to justify it 15 minutes after the game ends. But competitive, yeah, I think so. And I'm looking forward to camp battle because it is wide open. Lee.
So you've confused us there, Gareth, because you disagreed with Kyle at the start of your answer there to say I don't think it is going to be competitive, and now you've just said it's going to be competitive.
No,
so I kind of
did I meant to say
I'm
said,
sure you did when you said I think I'll disagree.
No, I don't disagree that Kyle said it's the most competitive.
Okay. It's your dodgy Welsh accent. That's what it is, mate. Coming from the northerner. So yeah, I agree. I think it's the most competitive because at this time in the season already, every year for the past probably 6-7 years, I could confidently name 46 people who were going to be on that 53-man roster. At the moment, I can't. I think 46 is probably the least I've been able to name in the past.
But not tell you the starters.
Yeah, I think this year, who's going to be on the 53? I think I'm down to about 42. Where I'd be
don't be giving those names away just yet. Episode 1 back in the new season,
I'd be saying 42. 42 is my comfort zone at the moment. I think it is going to be competitive. I think wide receiver is definitely going to be competitive, as long as we can stay healthy. Obviously, I mean, Cowan going down with a hamstring. Hopefully, it's not too bad. Fully expect Ike to start on PUP rather than IR, because I think we can pull him off PUP.
He can't start on IR, can you? If you're on IR, I suppose you put him on the roster for cut down day, and then put him on IR
and then you stick him
day
on
after.
IR
of course you can.
But you risk losing a wide out then. So yeah, I think that's going to be our most competitive camp battle. Wide receiver.
Well, they talked about Ayuk's window. They said that they're not given a time scale at the moment, and I think all of us would accept him back week 6, week 7 at the moment, even if he was on progress to be week 1. I think given the damage to his knee, and Lynch said yesterday when they asked about Ayuk, his comments weren't, it was something like he did his knee real bad, or he talked a lot about the knee injury, and I think Mustafa as well. There's a lot of talk that Mustafa might be done for the season, but you got to remember, people, we do love an overreaction on this side of the pond. We do like to see those highlight reels. But the first 3 training sessions don't have the pads on. So there was a lot of heat for Debo, who's not with us anymore now. He's going through a walkthrough with Washington. There was a lot of talk about him looking slow. And then Brock and Kittle both went on bussing with the boys and said, hold your horses. It's a walkthrough. It's practice. And I think that's what I wanted to kind of take away from tonight, chaps, is I'm excited to see the footage. I mean, just as we were trying to go live, someone shared on Twitter that Purdy threw a dart to Jennings. I had a quick look on Lee. It was just a standard throw in a walkthrough. But that's where we're at the moment because we've been without football for so long. So, Richard has asked a very good question here. So, will every draft pick make the roster? What do you reckon, Lee? Yes,
I reckon it'll be tough because we took 10 draft picks. So that's going to be very tough.
I think, who did we get at the back end? Wide receiver, O-line in the 7th round. It's probably going to be tough for him. And I think, there's wide receiver. There was talk about the undrafted wide receivers we've got, Tariq Owens included, that might make it a struggle for. I forget his name, but it was 6th round, was it? I haven't got the list. It's been that long.
I know. We ill prepared.
Well, I'm going to say, whilst we're
Prepared?
looking for names, you mentioned about making a tease at the end of the show, Lee. Now, we could have done something funny here. I would like to say that this was done on purpose, Michael, where my camera went black, but it wasn't. I just knocked the wire out. But that is something that you have got these good people all worked up for, Lee. So Michael has been very vocal in our Discord. If you don't know what that is, drop me a DM. We'll invite you over. But the UK faithful, Lee Gowland, with a few friends, is working on something big, aren't you, Lee? The UK faithful gear, which hopefully will be a show to go all in detail about it.
It'll be on a weekend, hopefully about 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, because that would be 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock over in California. 9 o'clock in California, and what were we talking? We're going to be talking 12 o'clock on the East Coast. 12 o'clock on the East Coast. So that kind of gives us plenty of flexibility where it doesn't lead up into their day, and it's kind of at the start of the evening. It gives me plenty of time to do the show, get changed and go to the pub. So the timing's going to work right if we can get it done. So, and hopefully I want to do that. Ideally, it should have been this Saturday because, as you're aware, the other type of football is
I was
kind
going to
of
say
getting started. I'm
on the
at the
horizon.
first Sunderland friendly next Saturday, so I'm not going to be able to do it then. So it'll probably be the week after if I can get the 3 guys on. And I think everybody knows the 3 guys. So it's Nick Parra, Ty Elson, and Coach Cruz. So they've created this venture, and I'm going to get them on the show. We're going to talk through it. This is one of the things that they've got. So this is the type of thing that's quite popular over in the tailgate community over there. I kind of quite like it. It's kind of bling bling.
Suits you, Lee. It suits you.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, this Saturday would have been perfect because Tracy's out. Just saying, left to my own devices. But we will get a show coming in the next few weeks, people.
Yeah, I mean, let's not rule out this Saturday because, like I said, it's perfect. So this Saturday I was supposed to be up in Edinburgh watching Sunderland versus Hearts, but I was a little bit slow getting the tickets and they sold out straight away. So I won't be at that game. And if I can get this show this Saturday, that would be perfect.
Right.
Because then we can start, the guys can start advertising within the group the merchandise.
So what was good is we
Any
took...
key rings?
Yeah, Martin likes to collect key rings. I
there
think
a key ring?
So while Lee's looking for that, Martin, I know we'd taken a break, and I know we've gone on a rabbit hole, but it was nice to see Chapman wearing the hat on his show, and I think that got a lot of traction, Lee. People seeing John rocking the UK faithful, and I know that there's a few of the faithful heading out to the States this year and catching up with John. Now, I did have a question that I meant to ask everybody at the start of the show, because I got flustered in typical 49er faithful UK fashion. I forgot my notes. Now, what I was going to say is we're back, but I wanted the chat to drop in some of their either questions for us regarding training camp, maybe, draft crushes of your own, concerns, dark horses to make the roster. Because as we've already alluded to in this discussion, Kyle's saying it's quite competitive. But this show, live on a Wednesday, we want the people to have their say. So anything that you want to ask me, Lee or Gareth, drop it in the chat right now while Lee is looking to answer Martin's questions.
So I can't see a key ring, but there's other stuff. There's pins and all sorts of different things. But Martin, if that's what you want, a key ring, I am sure once we have that show, if you tune in, they will sort a key ring of some sort out for you.
Public disclaimer, Dawn, Lee didn't mean that, because I think Martin's got quite a few shoe boxes with key rings in. I'll just get that out there to get you out of trouble, Martin. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And Alex wants to know, Lee, any trading cards featuring our favourite podcasters? I don't think we get many people asking for them, Alex. But
there's a money spinner. We should make those.
Yeah. People will be able to put them on the dartboard and use them for practice.
So our very own insider, has taken advantage of Paul Hope's Ask Anything question. Lee, which Sunderland player do you reckon could make the
Luke
52-man
O'Nien.
roster?
Luke O'Nien, definitely.
So while we're waiting for the question in the chat, Gareth, is there anything you wanted to talk about specifically tonight? Because I know we kind of decided to go live without a plan. Not that we ever do that.
We've got it's fun. We've been all in, I think, for the last few years, and we've known that, particularly with Purdy. I think the rookie contract, the cheap deal, we went all in. We went all in. This is a slightly funny year that obviously we've got a load of rookie players, young players. It doesn't feel like we're necessarily all in, but we've got a load of cap space, and there is quite a few undrafted free agents around who are guys who I think could do a job if they can prove that they've looked after themselves in the off season. I was looking at a list. There's some big names at wide receiver. There's some big names at guard as well. People like Brendan Scherf, who are still unsigned. Do you guys think we're going to dip into Jed's money bag if the rookies are not going to look like they're ready this season, or are we really seeing this season as a developmental season? I.e., we're not all in. We don't think our window's there.
I don't think we particularly make a big splash until towards the trade window, when we know whether or not we are going to be competitive. And to be honest, it could be a bit of a.
I'd hope the
could be a
coaches
bit
know
of a
that
red herring.
Earlier, but
Because the start of the season, I mean, I assume the start of the season is easy. Obviously, we've got the easiest schedule, but the start of the season does give us a good opportunity to get ahead of steam up before the trade window closes there, the back end of October. But I can't see us. I can't see us trading for anyone, a big trade. Free agent wise, people who want to take the money, they're not really going to be able to get that money because they're still free agents now. There's a reason they're free agents now. It's because at the moment nobody wants them, so they've got no bargaining power.
No, nobody
I see
wants
us
to
bringing
pay
in one?
them
Yeah,
what
maybe.
they want. I don't necessarily think with some of the guys, no one wants them. No one wants
Yes,
to
well,
meet them
potentially,
at their salary demands. But I think when the season gets on, and that can change, I think, for players.
So do you have a player in mind, Gareth?
No, but I just looked through the list, and there are some big names on there, particularly wide receiver, and I said,
Yeah.
and guard, two positions that we might well need. You know, even with things going well, it doesn't look like Ayuk would be up to game speed until kind of week 12. Probably we couldn't really expect him back before week 7. And it's going to take some time to build back up. It's almost like he's going to be missing for most of the season. We lose somebody like Purcell or JJ to an injury, we're really, really thin on experience. I remember when we signed Sanders, we thought, oh yeah, tidy guy, decent wide receiver. He came and transformed that offense that year, and kind of carried some of the passing game to the Super Bowl. So I think there's a job out there, and we know that Kyle is tough on rookie wide receivers, and I don't know that those guys are going to get the full chance. I think it's going to be easier to dip into a veteran who might, and you know, let's face it, if you're a wide receiver,
Yeah.
if you're a good professional, San Francisco is probably an attractive place to go.
I think if there's any time for wide receiver rookie wide receivers to make their mark on the 49ers with Shanahan as head coach, it's this season. I think it's this season, and I think it's that guy down there.
Really? Wow.
I
Is
mean,
he going to be your player watch this year? You guys
he
got
could be. He could be.
I mean,
But I'll still be watching Pooney as well, mind. But yeah, he could be. I mean, all the noise coming out of Santa Clara, all the rookie practice and everything like that, everybody has been absolutely blown away by him. And some of the comparisons that have been made are pretty impressive. Obviously, we haven't seen him in competitive football in the NFL yet, and that could change things straight away. But yeah, Jordan Watkins, everything I'm hearing about that lad, I think he has an opportunity there, especially now that Cowan's pulled a hammy. So there was one that we kind of expected to be there for two reasons. One, he deserves a chance at wide receiver. He's quick. He can stretch the field. And two, for his special teams ability as well. So he kind of had not a double lock, but a double opportunity.
Two routes.
It
two
made him
routes for the
strong
team.
to make that roster. But if he's got a pulled hamstring, he's not going to be ready for the season.
That's 6 weeks, isn't it, hamstring?
Yeah.
So he
Well,
worked
if
out.
he has actually pulled it,
Yeah, we'll get more details. You know what Shanahan's
Yeah.
like. He did say in the press conference
MRI
yesterday that Purcell's hamstring was really bad. Then he doubled down and said it wasn't really bad. And if you cast your mind back to June, he did say Purcell would be ready for training camp. But you talked about a possible trade. There's no such thing, Lee, as an easy fixture in the NFL. But I am loving the fact that everyone says we've got an easy schedule. For those people like Brett Sinclair who like to dabble with a gamble, Vegas have us at 10.5 wins for the season. Vegas don't tend to get that too wrong. And as you said, Lee, if we're heading into that trade window, I don't think we make a big splash, but you cast your mind back to Sanders, like Gareth said. We didn't overpay for Sanders. We got him on a kind of rental deal. And you're right, Gareth, he came in and he transformed the offense with Jimmy. I think Brock is obviously an upgrade on Jimmy G. We love Brock Purdy on this show. He did talk in the press conference himself, Lee, about working with the young receivers and the fact that the excuses stop now. They need to step up. They need to get on the same page with him. Interestingly, he was asked by some of the beat writers, have you done some off-season workouts with many of the young wide receivers? He said no. He was at tight end due for a bit with Kittle. I think he'd done a little bit with Purcell, but basically there was like one or two names that Brock mentioned. So wide receiver is something that I'm concerned about at the moment. Not overly concerned, Lee, but it is somewhere that I'm focusing my attention on over the next couple of days.
Yeah. I think you've got good reason to do that as well, Paul. Like I said, I think that's going to be the competitive battle. Well, sorry, not so much the competitive, but I think it will be competitive. I think that is potentially a weakness we have there where we definitely need to strengthen. I think somewhere which would be very competitive, and it's because of the strength, and that's going to be linebacker. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Obviously, I picked out an undrafted free agent months ago now, which I'm still quite high on, and I'd like to see how he performs in camp. Whether or not he makes the 53, we don't know. But Stone Blanton, to me, everything I saw of him on the proverbial tape, film, he looked good, and I'm going to look forward to seeing him play.
So before we get into more questions, Gareth, I was just going to come with this one. Papa J, who seems to be new to the show today, has asked, do we think we pick up another tight end? What do we reckon, chaps?
That was our big signing, wasn't it? Luke
Farrell, I believe.
Farrell.
Yeah.
I mean, not massive, but I think we're paying him 6 or 8 million or something like that. We got Ross Dwelly back, so that's going to keep Aaron Donald definitely in retirement. I think that's a good thing. It's odd. We've either used Kittle when he's been there, or we've kind of ignored the tight end position. We've never, if Kittle's down or missing a game, we never seem to have really then just had somebody that would play the Kittle position. Obviously not to the level, but it's almost like we've forgotten. I think 2 tight ends is going to be something we see more of. I'm interested to see that as well. Particularly, we know the O-line has struggled at sometimes in pass protection. We know that Juszczyk is sometimes there as an extra pass protector and blocker anyway. But I do hope that we're going to see Kittle freed up a little bit because there's more people blocking. But I don't know that we're necessarily going to see a tight end getting a lot of other targets. And ultimately, why would you waste a target on an ordinary player when you have George Kittle that you could target instead? No offense to any of the ordinary players.
I like that, Gareth.
They
No
ain't
offense.
George. They
No
ain't
offense.
George.
So the Seahawks have just released Noah Fant.
Noah Fant. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
forgot he
yeah,
was a
very-
first round pick as well. He's
Yeah.
So Michael
there's
was
the
chipping
potential
there
there.
about Luke Farrell had 12 receptions on
Yeah, I mean,
17
that's-
targets.
you
I mean, I
know,
think he's
you'd
been brought in for
expect
his
that.
run blocking, to be fair, Gareth. I think you're right. I think that's where Farrell's been brought in.
Isn't
it's
his
also
yardage something like 36 yards, career yards?
But I mean, that's what we would have done if that was Dwelly or Warner. They had those kind of stats, didn't they? When they were playing, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% of the snaps in the season. So it just shows that they're just not targeted. But Brock might do things differently. I was reading something. Who was it? Alec Armstead. They talked about what he felt about Purdy, and he says compared to Jimmy. Suddenly everybody was running the routes expecting that they might get the ball, because Purdy was able to extend the plays and would find people all over the field. Whereas I think that's the sort of we knew that Jimmy had a handful of good throws that he could make and big portions of the field which he just wouldn't even look at. And those receivers knew it. And I think that was the impact. So hopefully tight ends might we might see him spread the ball around more. Let's see, and let's see what Kubiak is adding to the mix. He might be the sort of guy who says, "No, just let's get the ball out to more players," and it keeps the defense honest, because they know if it's not George, that tight end ain't getting the ball. Let's get the ball to a few times to the other tight ends and give those defensive coordinators another thing to worry about.
So before we get to Richard's question in the chat, Lee touched upon another area that a lot of people at training camp are looking forward to, and that's Dee Winters going up against Nick Martin. Now, obviously, if you're to believe Salah had a huge say on this draft, Nick Martin is his guy, is who he's picked. I think it would be no surprise to see Martin develop into the starter, but I think there's a lot of people still excited with Dee Winters. So is this a battle you were really looking forward to, Lee, before we get to Richard's question, which features another one of your favourite players, so don't you worry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, outside of Fred, I don't think there's anybody particularly guaranteed a spot at linebacker. I think because they all look good. Obviously, none of them look as good as Fred, which is why Fred's the only one guaranteed. But I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. See who takes up Dre's position. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't necessarily think it would be Nick Martin. I think it needs to be the best player. One of the things that I really get wound up about is when a head coach puts too much stock into where they drafted the player during training camp rather than how they actually perform in training camp. Because they've got this fear that if all of a sudden Stone Blanton, there's a good example, Stone Blanton outperforms everyone in training camp, and they're left with a difficult decision of whether or not to get rid of Dee Winters, who was he was a third or fourth round pick a couple of seasons back, or Nick Martin, who was a third round pick. That's a difficult decision because straight away you're being judged. You're being judged on the draft, and they shouldn't be thinking that. They need to be judged on the quality of player they keep. And there's another good example of that. We kept Ambry Thomas and we let Sammy Womack go.
Right, bingo card. Who had 43 minutes? I'm jokingly. Now, before you disappear, there is a question that I wanted you to answer. So, Shanahan.
Richard.
He's a Hall of Fame guard. He will never have a slump. The reason is excellent.
I put that on there, Lee, is Shanahan did talk about this sophomore slump, but he said it could also be a worry for players going into year two. It's well documented. There's my first one this season. Nat Puny was thrown into the mix last year, and it was sink or swim. And boy, oh boy, Lee, did your boy swim. So you had to answer that question for Richard.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think what we saw from him last year wasn't just a good rookie season. I think we saw a guard who was mature beyond his years. He could read the game. He was excellent in everything he did. Every block he got right. I think he looks so impressive. Like I said, I think he's going to go on to have a really impactful career. And hopefully that will be with us for a long time. But obviously with it being O-line, you kind of get the feeling that it's a 4 or 5 year rental after we've taken them in the draft. And then they generally don't get that big payday. So hopefully he'll do it in the first 4 years.
Williams might be gone by then, and there might be room. I
Possibly.
think he is a big reason why I think we haven't invested more money in the O line, because
Yeah.
he contributes so much of that cap. I'll disagree slightly with Lee, but I think I could see him having a bit of a slump. But the reason is because his rookie season was so good. It would
Yeah.
be so difficult to just recreate that level. I'm not saying he's going to be poor, but if he's 5% more pressures allowed or lets through. I mean, how many sacks did he let through? 2 or something like that? 1. If he lets through 5, he's
No, I didn't think
doubled
he
it.
let any sacks through, and I
Well,
think
there
he
we
only
go.
left through 2 hurries.
So there we go. If he lets 1 sack in, he's had a slump. He's had a poorer season.
Well,
So that's
I would
that's
say
what
a
I mean.
slump is more over a prolonged period where he's not
Yeah.
performing well. I think that's what a slump is.
Yeah,
Let's not say if he lets
absolutely.
one sack that he's.
But
you
that's
look
the
at
point.
Spencer Burford.
He was so good. He was so good in that first season. It's so difficult to recreate that.
Exactly, but let's compare him to Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford had a brilliant first season, and we thought he
Half
was
a
going to be
brilliant first
our
season.
starting guard for years to come. And then ever since then, he's been mediocre. He's been mid. Yeah. So he could do that.
Down with the
But
kids.
Spencer Burford didn't reach the ceiling that the Punisher did last season in his rookie season. So there was a huge difference there. Spencer Burford, yeah, he was a lot better than we all expected. I think we were quite pleased about that. But you watch Pooney and you're like, I can't believe this guy's a rookie.
I
I
mean,
can't believe where we drafted him.
to be fair, towards the end of the show, I was going to give a shout out to some of the content creators that are actually at training camp. And what I was going to say is obviously we've decided to go live today, even though I wasn't quite 100% sure of the timings. But what we were going to say is I know there's a lot of talk late about position battles, guard, offensive line, tackle. But this time last year, Brad Graham, who we've had on the show, so I can call him a friend of the show now, he was very high on your boy Pooney, and he was basically banging the drum, and he is very good at evaluating the offensive line. So straight away, I wasn't surprised to see that happen. Shanahan talked a little bit yesterday about Ben Barch. He's expected to battle the left guard, but Ezekiel, Burford, Hennessy, and the rookie Connor Colby look like that could be a battle to keep an eye out as well. But Trent Williams is looking healthy. He's looking fit. Yes, everyone, I've seen the workout videos. I'm buying the hype. But if you can have a fully healthy Trent Williams, Lee's Punisher, and then maybe a little bit of all right play, we're going to be all right, aren't we, Lee? Come on, tell the faithful the offensive line's going to be nothing to worry about this year. Let's go bold on
I
day
didn't think
one.
there was anything to worry about last year, never mind this year. And I think the added bonus of having McCaffrey back behind that line, I think that makes it so much easier on the offensive line.
I think we've got to make sure Brendel and McKivitz can't drop off anymore. Let's say that.
Well, you talk about McKivitz. There was a bit of talk on Jason Aponte's show yesterday where he was saying, given where we've taken McKivitz, given the productivity and the money he's on, you could argue that his productivity is where it is. And I think, you know,
but it still needs to be, if you want to compete, it still needs to be good enough, not just good value.
Yeah.
You know we like to do positive vibes on this show, Gareth, but I like that you're keeping us honest. Now, Red Jet Shell, friend of the show, she will be appearing again at some point.
Ooh.
There is a list of guests. We did take a bit of a break. Lee has got a new job. Life has been a bit busy for Nadji. Regardless of the rumours, he's not starting a Chargers podcast. That image that I shared in Discord after the Coldplay viral instantly was just a joke. But Nadji is committed as ever. He's just busy. But we did get asked a question that I wanted to get your thoughts on. So Simon has asked, biggest impact at defensive tackle, Albert Collins or CJ West? Over to you, Gareth.
Oh, I'm first. Let me get this right. Collins was the second round and West was the fourth round, wasn't
That's
he?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of West and he is enormous. There's positions to be won here right in the middle of the line. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I think it is somewhere that maybe we might look at perhaps a veteran closer to the start of the season, but we'll see how these guys go. But we know we've got one of the top defensive line coaches in the league. I think we're going to get supported. They're going to get supported well by Salah. If we can get more pressure off the edge, those guys have just got to make sure that they do their job, find the gap, and we don't necessarily need them to be superstars. We need them to be mistake free in doing their job. Stop that run game, and make space for others maybe to get around the edge and get at the quarterback. So there's hope there. I'm excited to see what these guys do. I'd love to see. I don't know if he ever got re-signed, but we talked about getting DJ Jones back. He's the kind of guy I'd love to see back for a season. I really would, just to add a bit of that veteran presence, somebody dependable right in the middle. But let's see what we could do. One of those guys could just turn out to be, the next superstar at that position. Let's hope. Let's hope we get two of them. Let's hope we have two of them who make Aaron Donald look like me on the defensive line.
Looks like you. What about you, Lee? The same question.
So I was happy when we took Alfred Collins. I was absolutely ecstatic when we took CJ West. I thought West was going to go mid-third round, early to mid-third round, and with him still being there in the fourth, and we got him, I was just over the moon. I think it's going to be CJ West. He looks an absolute beast. I think he's going to be a handful for any offensive line we go up against, and because of that, I think it's going to be so much easier for our guys to come off the edge. So I'm looking forward to seeing them both, actually. And to be fair, I think both Collins and CJ West start.
I wasn't worried that he didn't sign his deal, Collins. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up to date.
Yeah.
The whole second round of the NFL, kind of none of them signed the deal. Now, obviously, we gave Collins 88% guarantees, which at the time people were thinking were high, but then I've seen others get 100%. So as John said at the press conference with Kyle, there's no such thing as dramas. It's business. And I quite like that answer. Obviously, we've been asked a few other questions. I don't know whether we can answer, Lee. So Michael has asked the big one. We were going to tease this at the start, but then I lost my chain of thought. So Michael
I
has
can
asked...
answer all of those with I can't tell you the answer. What I can tell you, so this came about very suddenly. Was it Monday night, Paul?
Yeah, Monday. Literally, we got, was it half an hour's notice?
5 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes.
Notice, yeah.
So we got an email saying, "Look, can you boys come on a Zoom call in 15 minutes?" So okay then. We had been waiting for an email, so I can tell you that there was 5 games targeted as options for the watch party. 3 of them are currently in play, and that's what we discussed on Monday night. So we do have some other options there, but we went with the top 3 that the 49ers wanted to discuss. Hopefully I have ruled one of those games out, because we're not expecting a decision until the end of next week, by which time one of the games would be, it'd be just too soon. Too soon for people to make travel arrangements, too late to make travel arrangements, too late to get a cheap hotel. I think I can pretty much tell you this, all the games that were targeted were all the 6 o'clock games and the 5 o'clock game. That was a no-brainer. It had to be that for the UK market anyway. So I don't think I'm giving away any secrets by saying that. And use your powers of deduction to work out which one of those games I turned around and said, you know what, it's probably not any good taking that particular game, because it's just far too soon into the season. We don't have enough notice. It's going to cost people a fortune. Now, as far as venue is concerned, I'm not going to tell you the venue because we don't know, because the decision hasn't been made. I can tell you one of the host cities that was mentioned, and there was multiple host cities mentioned. One of them was London, as you would guess. So I'm happy telling you that because it's a no-brainer. I'm happy telling you that the games that were discussed were the 5-6 o'clock games, because again, that's a no-brainer because of the lessons we've learned over the past years. So based off that, we now have a potential of 4 games, and obviously, hopefully, me and Paul has kind of narrowed that down to 2 games. And I don't think anybody would be too disappointed with the 2 games we've that we left with, if that's what they're going to go with. There's valid reasons for choosing each game, and then I think it comes down to, depending on which game it is, will dictate the city. To be fair.
So for our friends across the pond, NFL Sundays start at 6 p.m. in the UK. So this year, the 49ers have 5 6 p.m. games.
It's unusual.
One 5 p.m. game because of the clock change. So as Lee said there, that's the conversation. So for us in the UK, the early kickoff is ideal because of the licensing laws, getting the venues. So, Michael, to answer your question, like Lee said in the roundabout kind of way, the Niners have opened the line of communication. They have taken on board, haven't they, Lee, the lessons learned, and they are very keen to build on the success of the watch parties in the past. And I don't know about you, Lee, but when you get those emails through, I still think the Niners want to talk to us about stuff like this.
Yeah, it is a little bit surreal. There could be a bit of a surprise coming as well at the watch party. I'll say that.
Teasy.
He loves the tease. Now,
He's
what
terrible.
I kind of threw out a suggestion right at the end of the conversation, and I think that was taken quite well. But it all depends on whether or not their strings can be pulled in the background as to whether or not that comes off.
Free bar courtesy of Jed.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, mate.
Well, we've got the salary cap space, but I mean, the Irish faithful have announced their plans, and for all the early games, they're meeting at the sports bar that they've secured. And I will say, Gareth, that once we know when the official watch party is, I think it'll be good to see a lot of the local meetups for the other games. Now, I know they're dependent on the Sky game, which can be difficult. I know Seb Chandler is looking at arranging one at Hickory's in Leeds like he did last year. But again, it's dependent on the Sky games. And obviously, we don't know those at the moment. We are the best team in the NFL. If it was up to me, we'd be on Sky every week.
And people can sort out those when we know when the Niners hosted one is, so that you don't want to clash with that. No offense, but your little meetup might not compete with the official 49ers one. Sorry.
Well, that's why
but
people
bear
are
in
waiting.
mind, not everybody can make that one either. So
Absolutely. But once we know the date, people can sort their plans, can't we? So
yeah,
We don't
and
have...
hopefully we'll be in a position next weekend to break this news. Of course, we wouldn't do it on the weekend because we're doing a live show. I'll make your way through an hour of absolute drivel as we just
Oh, by the way, yeah.
yeah,
Absolute
and then
drivel.
break the news.
I mean, we are approaching the hour. I'm conscious we started late. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? I'm not saying we're going right now, but we are going to get to that time of the show where we start wrapping up, maybe a bit of promotion for some other stuff. But is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Not yet. Let's see what training camp brings.
Well, yeah, and Predictor League.
Yeah, we got to have a chat about that.
Predictor
haven't we?
League.
Bingo card number 2. So he's mentioned Sammy Womack and he's got the trophy. So come on. And Alex, we love this. It's good drivel. But no, I just wanted to say if was there any final thoughts, Lee?
No, I'm just excited. Can't wait for this month to pass by and see all those camp battles. Find out who's going to be the 53 we take in the battle as we go ahead and win number 6 in Santa Clara.
You, Gareth, any final thoughts, buddy?
No, just now. Lee's got me excited about the meetup. Look forward to that. Look forward to that day. Look forward to catching up with all those people like yourselves that I see in person once a year, and new faces, people I've met and forgotten their names of. Very much look forward to the meetup.
I was going to say, not only have we taken a break from creating the content, the Awesome Foursome group chat went a bit quiet. And because we've not had much to talk about Niners-wise, when we kind of said at the start of the week, right, let's put a show together, I was kind of getting excited. I know you said, Lee, that with the YouTube and the monetization, which we never got any money anyway. I know we haven't made any, but, I want to say to those people, we do appreciate you've stayed with us. The subscriptions have stayed the same. I haven't seen any of those go down. But everybody who has joined us in the chat today, I want to say thank you for joining us. If you can, please drop a like on the video. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And this will make Lee laugh. Please tell your friends about us. And don't say they haven't got any friends, Lee, if they're watching us, because that never goes down very well.
You know what? We could have somebody watching tonight all the way from Denmark. All the way from Denmark, and they are not currently a member of the Denmark Faithful 49, or whichever way you 49 Denmark Faithful. I can't remember which way their fan chapter is named. I should know that, but it's a colleague of mine. We just got into a random conversation last week about what plans I had coming up with the summer, and I mentioned I was going away on holiday at the end of August, and then potentially 2 weeks after that I might be going on holiday again to the United States to watch the NFL. So we got in the whole conversation about the NFL, kind of mentioned that I did a live show podcast. So she went and subscribed to the channel straight away, I believe. I need to check that one out. And she says she now has something to watch on a Wednesday night.
Oh, that is nice to hear. But I do want to say to everybody in the community that has engaged, kept the content going, the Discord group has gone throughout. I've seen the posts pick up on Facebook. And as I said, we do appreciate everybody who's tuned in today. Chaps, I've had a blast. As you can tell, I had a smile. I'm feeling pretty good. And all that is left for me to say is trust the process, Faithful, and go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, G. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time.